Hey guys, and welcome to part 8 where we're just going to do a little bit of cleaning because in the map grid we set if it's moved we do the one to the right of it, the one to the top right, and one to the top left to false, and this is kind of messy here. So I guess we're just going to clean it up a little bit, but the way we're going to do this is we're going to have a public hash map of type key string and type vector2 get we'll call this grid nodes. And what a hash map is, if you don't know what a hash map is it pretty much says, okay, we're gonna have pretty much an array list of vector 2's that instead of getting with an index of 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., we're getting it with a string. So if we say grid nodes.get top left, it'll get the top left node. So what we're going to do is just initialize it here. Grid nodes equals new hash map, type string, getting a vector 2. Oh, my bad. And we're just going to make a method called update grid nodes. And we're actually going to come over here and we're going to create a constants class. We'll call it grid nodes, and we'll do public static final string top left equals, I don't know, doesn't matter. And just to save some time here, I'm going to do all of these. I'm going to do top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right, just so that we can grab them. And I'm not going to make you watch me do that. Okay, so I pretty much just put a bunch of random strings in here. You could put whatever you want. You can name it. It really doesn't matter. As long as they're different, this will work. Okay, so what we're going to do is grid nodes dot put, and we're going to give it a string, and we're going to grab from grid nodes, and we're going to set the bottom left one to be grid position, because the grid position is marking the bottom left of the actual player. Because if we just run this, you'll see that, oh, you won't see, but when we had it first in the last one, when these three weren't here, it was just tracking the bottom left one. So the bottom left is just the normal grid position. But the bottom right, and this is pretty bad practice, but this will give you the base idea. We're going to do grid position.x plus 1, because that would be the bottom right, and then just get the grid position.y. And we're going to do this for the top left, bottom left, top right. So let's do top right next. So the top right would be one to the right and one up. And then the top left would be, since it starts, in case this is confusing, this starts at the bottom left. So if we want to go to the bottom right, all we have to do is go one to the right. If we want to go to the top right, we got to add one to the right, so it's now on the bottom right side, and then add one to the y, so now it's at the top right. So for the top left, we don't need to increment the x, but we do need to increment the y. And we'll just call this in our update method. But we also want a way to get the grid nodes, so public hash map string and vector 2. This is so that the map grid can have access to it. So now in the map grid, instead of doing all this crap, what we're gonna do is just clean this up. I moved some of this out of the way because the recording got a little messed up, but it's gonna be pretty much the same length of code, honestly, but it's going to make it so that when we look at this, we're not just like, what the hell is all this, you know? So what we'll do is map grid, comma, entities dot get. Actually, you know what? We're gonna make a temporary variable. variable to make this easier on ourselves. So private collidable, it is collidable. We'll call it reference. So we'll set every time reference equal to entities.get I. So it's still looping through it, but we're just going to make it a little bit less jumbled up. So if mapgrid.get, we don't need to cast it to an int anymore because we did that like 100 times. Reference.get grid nodes dot get, and then we're going to do grid nodes dot bottom left to start, and then we call dot x. Oh, did I click insert? That's the death of me. Let me just make sure. Dot get grid nodes bottom left dot x, and then we close the bracket. Insert always kills me. Add cast type. Oh, it makes us. That's why. So now we're grabbing the bottom left and the bottom right. But even this is a little bit jumbled. So we're just going to make another method. Public void check position. And we'll give it collidable C, or collide. So then we're going to do pretty much this right here. Mapgrid dot all this stuff. So we'll do, okay, I feel like I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So what we're doing pretty much is we're going to set all the places to true, and then if it has moved, set it to false. But we're just cleaning it up so that we can read our code a little easier. So mapgrid, cast it to an int, and we'll do col.get grid nodes .get grid nodes bottom left .x, and then for the second one we do pretty much the same thing, so I'll just copy and paste it and be lazy. Col.y equals true, and then we're going to do that for the bottom right, top left, and top right. Alright, so here it is. I just rewrote everything for bottom left, bottom right, top left, top right, and then we just call it and we run it and we get the same result. Now here's the thing, you can do this same grid nodes thing for old position, but you would have 4 other checks, because then you're checking not only have you moved at all, but have you moved on this one, have you moved on this one. They all move with each other, so we're not going to make a whole grid nodes for that. We really care about the grid position for a future reason I will get into shortly. So we got update, and now we just cleaned up the code pretty much. So the next step is collision. We'll name it my collision. Whoa, collision. And as you'll see in the main, we added this player to the grid, right? And the grid node, or not grid node, the map grid has an array list of these entities. So we're going to do a public array list of type collidable get entities, so that we can feed this to the collision, because collision's got to loop through these things and check where they are, and then just, check the collision, and we'll get into it essentially. But wall equals new collidable 200 by 200. So let's add that to the grid.add to grid. Let's add the wall. What happened? Map grid, we have a null pointer, bottom grid, back. Collision grid.get nodes wall player. let me debug this. Alright, well the error was pretty stupid of me. We have to update the player and the wall so that they can get their positions and then update the grid. So we add a new entity and there it is. But as you can see, we can still go right through it, which of course is a problem. So that's what the collision class is going to be. And I'm actually going to start that one in the next one. So I'll see you guys in the next one.